Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday's edition of Contractors Chatter. Woo, where this is the up level conversation around government contracting. We discuss all things legislative, and my camera is a little off over here. That's okay. We discuss all things legislation, appropriations, we discuss compliance. We talk about government contracting like it's not talked about anywhere else. I am your host, Luciana Turner. I have 20 years experience in government contracting. I was a compliance specialist for two of the top 10 government contractors, interfacing with DCAA, Department of Labor, and I'm just bringing to you my experience in government contracting through this platform. Now, this platform is not a political platform, it's an informational, transformational, educational platform around government contracting. So, let's get this party started on this great Friday morning. Now, there is a lot of contract awards going out. And a lot of them are huge awards. There are a lot of large initiatives this government fiscal year. And that is really because of the huge drive in government contracting around the IT transformation. And because of that, there isn't a lot of, I'm going to back off the statement I was getting ready to make. Because the contract awards going out, it's a lot harder for small business to qualify as a prime for some of the contracting initiatives out there. A lot of the contracts coming out the gate are billion-dollar, multi-million-dollar initiatives. We discussed it during my summit in December when I did my interview with Sheila. However, that does not mean small businesses cannot position themselves this government year. It just means we need to be smarter, we need to be more strategic. Are there a lot of low dollar opportunities out there? Yes. However, if you're going to go after a lot of low dollar initiatives, that means you're going to have to increase your efforts. That means you're going to have to redouble your efforts. However, you can go after big contracts. You just need to be smarter about how you do it. And you need to lay the proper foundation in order to do it. There's been an uptick over the years in desk audits. And a desk audit is where, and this is something I think a lot of people aren't aware of. Initially, when a contract is awarded, and then I'm going to come back to my other point. Initially, when a contract is awarded or a contract is chosen, the agency does something that's called a desk audit. That's basically where they send you some simple requests for some information. They want to see some of your basic procedures. They send out a request, a simple informational worksheet, usually about 20, 25 questions, asking for some of your policies around billing. How do you handle certain circumstances? What kind of policies do you have in place? They're trying to measure your risk. The government is highly risk averse. Let me say that again. The government is highly risk averse. What does that mean? That is a fancy way of saying that the government does not want to do business with a business they don't think is going to be there at the end of the contract term. So that is one of the ways that they ensure that you're going to be around. Therefore, they do this desk audit, especially if it's a large contract initiative. If you cannot provide them with simple policies and procedures, and most of them revolve around your accounting and your bookkeeping, they will not give you the award. So you can win the contract and lose the award. I want you to understand that. So it's so much more on the back end when it comes to contracts and contracts awards. So you can win the contract and still lose the award. Once you pass the desk audit, that's when you get into the whole what they call ramp up phase. So then I'll go back to my previous point. So the tighter you make your back end, and that is the unsexy part that people don't want to talk about. The tighter you make your back end, the tighter you make your compliance, the tighter your systems are, the more likely you are to secure larger contracts. I'll say that again. The tighter your systems are, the more likely you are to secure larger contracts. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm saying it's the likelihood that you will receive and secure and sustain larger contracts. But if you're not willing to put in the work that it takes to secure and sustain your back end, then you will not secure the larger contracts. Keep in mind, according to a survey performed by Grant Thornton back in 2010, I really need to check. I haven't checked if they've redone the survey. Contractors are only winning 30% of their new efforts. That means the new proposal efforts that are going out, they're winning 30% of those. And they're only winning 27% of their recompetes. However, you have company, and this was of the big dogs. I mean, your top 10 multi-billion-dollar companies. So if you have multi-billion with a B dollar companies only winning 27%, you know there's a formula and there's a system. So onesie twosies is not going to get you to a multi-million-dollar agency. It takes strategy and it takes initiative. It takes proper pricing, and government contracting pricing is a lot more entailed than cost plus. I've heard people talk about pricing, and I'm not knocking any of the government contractors, analysts that I've heard speak, because they're speaking from their experience. However, as you grow in contracting, it gets a little more sophisticated. If you're going to work on a federal level, a lot of this pricing training that's out here just won't fly. And I'm telling you now, working for the Department of Labor, they tell you what kind of base you have to use, and you have to submit those labor rates to them at the beginning of every fiscal year. And a lot of the pricing models that are being taught out here is not proper, is not audit appropriate, and will not fly, especially on the federal level. I digress. So we want to keep that in mind. Compliance in government contracting runs the gambit and controls your ability to win. Contract compliance includes proposal preparedness, pricing preparedness, award preparedness. Compliance controls the win in addition to the sustainability in government contracting. However, these huge initiatives coming out are being awarded, like the $73 million IT order ICE just awarded through GAO. That was a perfect opportunity for small business to get a piece of that through subcontracting. Subcontracting can be a very good way to scale your business in government contracting if you know how to partner, if you know how to do the work. A lot of people don't understand, especially with the new FAR rule that went into effect in December. They can't do the bait and switch anymore. They can't bid you in a contract and then not use you unless they can prove that you just couldn't do the work. So I know in the past what was going on with subcontracting was they would bid a company just to say that they met their small business goal and then didn't give that small business any work. With the FAR clause that went into effect in December of this past December, that was done with. They actually have to give you work, and they have to give you the work that was promised in the proposal in order for the prime to stay compliant. Unless they can demonstrate that you could not perform. And that's something else that people have to understand. There is a performance compliance component in every contract. And that performance compliance is put on you if you're the subcontractor by the prime as well as the client. And if you're the prime, of course, it's by the end client. So subcontracting and the change in the FAR clause and rules on a federal level has given small businesses a little extra leverage and a little more power in contracting on the federal level. If you know how to utilize it and you know how to wield it, it's a game changer. We're going to talk about that a little more on the platform this year. Like I said, this year, I'm staying in my niche and I'm staying in my glory. Compliance is the key, especially with the uptick in audits and this whole talk around the change in compliance and reporting requirements and the increase in security. It's going to be a lot that's going on in FY 2022 and beyond. And there's just not enough conversation around compliance with small businesses entering in government contracting. With that said, when the chatter returns Monday, I'm going to actually talk about this story that hit my inbox around refunds. Pentagon getting refunds from one of their contractors. And I'm going to close out this morning talking about that. I'm assuming all of my audience is working in the highest effort and they're providing the greatest level of effort. However, If you cannot demonstrate or cannot provide the highest level of effort, the government will ask for a refund. When the audit come around and the government does audit, the government does not always audit in a timely method. I don't know why people think if I perform work in 2022, they're going to audit me in 2023. And if they don't, they're never going to audit me. The government, if you read any proposal, the government gives themselves 5 to 10 years to audit you. So they can show up to, and quite frankly, they could show up 20 years from now and pull out an audit. I remember when I first went into contracting, my first audit when I went into compliance, that was when I first went into compliance in 2007. My first audit was of 1999. So the government does not audit in a timely manner. That's just the way it is. There's so many contractors, especially they spend a lot of effort on larger contractors, but that does not mean you're not going to get audited. So if you do not have proper records, when they come audit you and you cannot support your cost, the government can and will ask for their money back. And they will slap you with penalties and interest dating back to the date of the transaction. So that $500 or $100 transaction with a 6% penalty and a 6% interest, and government math is worse than Common Core, can easily run into the thousands because it's back to the date of the transaction. So if the transaction was in 2022 and they audit you in 2030, that's 8 years worth of penalties and interest. So I need you to get unsexy and get those back ends together. And it's easier to get it together now than it is to try to fix it years later down the road. I don't know how many people I've talked to who said, I'm going to worry about it later. Because nobody wants to think about the auditor. Nobody wants to be worried about the auditor. But compliance is a huge part of your sustainability and revenue growth. And if it's not top of mind, then I'm going to step out here and I will die on this hill. If you're not talking about compliance, regulatory compliance, I don't care if it's a government contracting, IRS, whatever level, if you're not prepared to internal audit, if you're not prepared, then I would say you're doing a disservice to your business. You're doing a disservice to your staff. You're doing a disservice to your family. And you're doing a disservice to yourself. Always be ready. There's an importance there. Everybody wants to talk about being in alignment, but they fail to realize or fail to talk about or don't want to talk about that alignment includes your business. And with that, I'm going to close out this morning. Nobody submitted questions for today. Fridays are Q&A days for me. I will answer questions live on any of my platforms. You can submit those questions via email or DM. I'm live on Clubhouse. So if you raise your hand, I can bring you to the stage and ask questions. My hub community is actually, I'll choose somebody to bring live interview style, and we'll actually do like an interview live on camera to ask questions, but I only do that on Fridays. So I will see you on Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for my next edition of Contractor Chatters. Replays are up on Clubhouse and replays are up on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is also where I do all of my master classes, and I'm going to be releasing my list of classes for this year. And I need to update my links so that you can get on my mailing list. I email my list first so they have first dibs on my master classes and training classes before I release them to the general public. So with that, have a great weekend. Take some time to decompress. I always say this. Take some time to decompress and relax because a stressed and hurried mind cannot create. And I will see you on Monday morning.